There's real concern that we are entering the age of the girly man.
You guys look great. Once I turn 40, let me guess, less energy, less drive.
Men these days are showing a remarkable decline in the key hormone testosterone, and it shows.
Men are not who they were.
This week, we look at what's being called low T, the mystery behind the causes, and how it could seriously impact generations in the future. Cuba is the closest communist nation to the U.S., just 90 miles south of Florida, and for decades caught in back-and-forth policies by presidents and now a new Trump administration.
President Trump were very vocal on the idea that they would take advantage of this new administration to try to even put more pressure on Cuba.
We've covered Cuba through 4 administrations and asked a senior Cuban diplomat about a potential turning point. And as the country still struggles to adapt from the post-COVID nightmare, we talk with a doctor who's influencing a significant new approach.
What is your basic philosophy on healthcare?
We've got to talk about food as medicine. We can't just fund chemotherapy drugs and let pharma control the healthcare field and all of research and discovery.
Welcome to Full Measure. I'm Sharyl Attkisson. Odds are you've heard of low T. That's the pharmaceutical industry's name for testosterone deficiency in men. There's a lot of attention given to treating it, but far less emphasis on a national health crisis, mysteriously declining testosterone levels in American men population-wide. Today we ask, what happens when a society's males become less manly, with no firm answers as to why it's happening?
For reasons unexplained, something very big and potentially very bad is happening to American men. On average, they've been losing an alarming amount of the crucial hormone that quite literally makes them men, and nobody has identified exactly why, though it's been the topic of much discussion and speculation.
But you want to know the real reason why so many men are weak and feminine? It's because we've been living in the good times. We've been in the good times for a while.
This has coincided with a substantial drop in men's testosterone levels in the US since the 80s.
According to Dr. Thomas Travison and his colleagues behind one such study, the average levels of the male hormone are dropping by about 1% per year.
Surgeons are also conducting an all-time record number of operations to reduce man boobs.
So testosterone peaks in the late teen years and the early 20s.
Dr. Abraham Morgentaler, a Harvard testosterone researcher, says he began seeing patients with testosterone deficiency in the late 1980s. The men were desperate for help for sexual dysfunction. He treated them with testosterone replacements and is consulted for a company that makes a therapy. Dr. Morgentaler says there are different ideas about what exactly is too low and what treatment, if any, men should get. But scientists say there's no doubt that male hormone levels have shrunk in recent decades. And we're not talking about common age-related decline. Men in their 40s today, on average, have significantly less of the male sex hormone than their fathers did when they were 40.
So the data are actually pretty clear that testosterone levels are declining over the last 50 years or so.
Can you give us in a time frame of what we know or what the estimates are?
Well, it depends on the study, and there have been several, but it ranges anywhere from 10 to about 20% testosterone over the last 40 to 50 years.
So what age? Let's equate that to a man.
So most of the studies are not in younger men, actually, but middle-aged men.
All right, a man 45 years old.
Right. So today the average testosterone level is about 450 nanograms per deciliter, we say. There's a lot of variation from one person to another, but that's an average of middle-aged, relatively healthy men. So what was it 40, 50 years ago? It was probably around 500 or 550.
On top of that, it's estimated that many millions of men have testosterone levels well below the current lower average. The problem is reported elsewhere, but is said to be much worse in the U.S. than other parts of the world.
It's hugely prevalent, affects about 1 out of 3 adult men over the age of 40. And not only does it cause symptoms that make the men not feel so good, but it's associated with important health issues.
When testosterone is low, it means the testicles aren't producing an adequate amount. That can lead to all kinds of signs and symptoms, including lower sex drive, erectile dysfunction, fatigue, brain fog, loss of muscle mass and strength, more body fat, weight gain, breast growth, sleep problems, mood swings, weak bones, and fertility problems.
The primary symptoms I was experiencing was mostly being tired as the main one, not maybe being as sharp as I was, not being able to think of things that I could previously do.
A little bit more irritable with the kids, feeling tired at work, mind was foggy, not as sharp as it used to be.
So just by the fact of having a low testosterone puts a man at double the risk of later on developing diabetes, obesity, and what's called the metabolic syndrome, which is a set of things that predisposes to cardiovascular disease. It's a lot. And if we look at associations of low testosterone, we look at things like dementia, depression. Testosterone is the single, in my opinion, the single most important blood test that tells us about the health status of a man.
Yet it's noteworthy that a health issue impacting men on a societal level isn't the topic of urgent research to pinpoint causes. The answer as to why that's the case might partly rest with the fact that a lot of money is made treating testosterone deficiency, not so much figuring out how to prevent it. There's no shortage of doctors to treat men with what the pharmaceutical industry dubs low T, and no shortage of testosterone replacement gels, injections, implants, patches, and pills. Treatments can run up to $1,000 a month.
Hello, welcome to T-Town. Like men over 40 everywhere. These guys experience a drop in testosterone. Don't worry, it happens to all of us. Can you believe this? Doug Flutie and Frank Thomas. You guys look great. Once I turn 40, let me guess, less energy?
Less drive?
Definitely.
Based on what you've described, I would say this sounds like a chronic, urgent health issue, something that's not happening to just a couple of people, but something that's population-wide.
Right. And where people are focused has been on testosterone as a treatment. And while that's really important and extremely useful for men who are deficient in testosterone, what's been ignored is having the condition of testosterone deficiency and how much it reduces the human condition. Men are not who they were. They've lost something. They lose their sense of humor. They lose their ability to be great partners.
There are studies that point to pieces of the puzzle, but the researchers we asked didn't want to do interviews about their work. They've found that countless things in our environment are hormone or endocrine disruptors and could be impacting testosterone levels. These include pesticides, additives, and other chemicals in our food, water, and medicine.
People talk a lot about what are called endocrine disruptors, things in our environment that appear to affect not just humans, but other animals in terms of their sexual development and things like that. And then the latest thing is we got plastics everywhere, microplastics, nanoplastics. That's so recent in terms of sort of general awareness that I don't think it's been studied with regard to testosterone. But nanoplastics and microplastics have been identified within the testicles of humans, and that's where the source of testosterone is. So there certainly could be a connection.
Whatever the causes, the declining testosterone in American men could affect how society works.
Anything with a backbone, fish, reptiles, birds, mammals, they all have testosterone. So we've been castrating, removing the testicles and the source of testosterone in domesticated animals for 10,000 years, right? And the observation is the same in every species, which is that the male tends to become more passive. Certainly men who have low levels of testosterone don't have the get up and go to do often what they've done in their male positions, whether it's within a family structure, whether it's within a business organization or whatever.
Text FRESH
For now, business is booming when it comes to treatment. Testosterone replacement therapy is raking in nearly $2 billion a year.
What are the implications in behavior of the male American species if testosterone levels have decreased that much over a short period of time? What do we expect to see in reality?
The doomsday scenario, if things continue the way they are, is not only that testosterone levels decline, but also sperm numbers. And there's evidence that sperm numbers are declining too. They're both made in the testicle. We could have sexual problems that are more prevalent. And sex is actually about reproduction, right? So that if men can't perform sexually to a certain extent, that may affect birth rates, which are already going down in the Western developed world anyway. I think it's possible, but I hope we never get there, that fertility will be reduced, that men will have more and more difficulty being sexual and active and physical, and that men will start feeling old before their time, and society will feel the impact of all of that.
The same exposures disrupting hormones in men could be disrupting the hormonal balance in women, but there seems to be no major public effort to get to the bottom of that either.